Hey everyone, welcome to Malleus Gaming. I'm your host, Battle Brother Malleus, and today we're going into the fires of battle with my operations build guide for the Multi Melta Armed Heavy class, or the Eradicator to give it its tabletop unit name. I'll be covering equipment, class perks, and general tactics to help you thrive within the crucible of battle. Now, unto the anvil of war, my brothers. The Eradicator is what I consider to be a premier close-range, board-clearing tank, able to burn through swaths of light chaff units, stunlock elite targets, and protect against enemy ranged attacks. Your role is to maintain proper positioning to aggressively guard your allies, either by clearing out the enemy hordes, or using your Iron Halo to block your foes' projectiles. This playstyle is perfectly aligned with the tactics of the Salamander's chapter, who greatly favor powerful, close-range weapons and seek to protect their fellow soldiers of the Imperium, no matter the cost. The Multi Melta is a high-powered, close-ranged thermal weapon which fires a cone-shaped blast of superheated energy. It effectively functions as a powerful shotgun, able to incinerate anything close to you, but suffers from high damage drop-off due to its short range as well as relatively low ammo. Since you'll want to be firing this at extreme close range, accuracy is less of a concern for this weapon, which is great as you'll be effectively dancing in and out of the melee with it, blasting chunks out of the enemy hordes or causing extremely high damage to enemy elites. As ammo is a concern for this weapon, you'll want to try and maximize the damage for each shot by positioning yourself in a way to hit as many targets as you can. It also serves as an effective panic button should you find yourself being overwhelmed. Minoris targets will be cleared easily, and Majoris targets will stagger easily due to the high damage, giving you room to either disengage or double the offensive. As you progress up to Relic tier, you should focus on increasing your magazine capacity over the other traits like fire rate or range. I've gone with the Ophelian Liberation Alpha version. I find that the Multi Melta fires quickly enough that spamming its high damage shots ultimately end up being a waste of ammo, and its base range is so short to begin with that any additions to it ultimately don't change how you'd use it. The damage drop-off is too severe that you shouldn't bother firing it at anything more than extreme close range. As for perks, you'll want to focus on the top line as it provides increased ammo supply, ammo regeneration, and fire rate increase when aiming. You can then dip down to the second line for a bit of increased range just to help deal more damage to enemies behind your immediate target, before going back up top for stagger resistance when aiming, increased fire rate after executions, more damage when aiming, increased damage after taking out a Majoris target in melee, and then some additional ammo. The Plasma Pistol is a versatile sidearm and complements the Multi Melta extremely well, firing blasts of superheated gas contained within electromagnetic fields. The Plasma Pistol can either fire rapidly to quickly tag enemies, using minimal energy, or use more energy to charge up a single powerful shot with a small area of effect in order to punch smaller holes into an enemy horde or stagger elites from a decent distance. In a way, it can function as a less powerful, longer-ranged version of the Multi Melta, and is best used to soften up the enemy as you close the gap. It has good range and accuracy for this purpose, allowing you to use charged shots to take out small groups of ranged Minoris targets, or interrupt Majoris targets calling in for reinforcements as you advance. Rapid shots are ideal for targeting things like spore mines, barbed strangler bulbs, or explosive canisters, letting you rapidly adapt to changing battlefield conditions. While you don't have to worry about reloading this weapon, you do have to keep an eye on its heat buildup. Should it max out, you'll be unable to fire at all until it cools down. Similarly to the Multi Melta, as you progress to Relic tier, you should focus on increased ammo capacity. I've once again chosen the Ophelian Liberation Alpha version, and this is because I find that the weapon already fires quickly enough, and the heat buildup can always be manually vented quickly, even in the middle of a firefight. An argument can easily be made for increasing venting speed, however, as it does allow for more charged shots before cooldown. For perks, you'll mainly go with the lower line route, starting with increased cooldown, increased damage after eliminating multiple foes, increased charge damage, increased damage against terminus enemies, and increased ammo. Then take the upper line perk for faster charging before going back in to the lower line for more efficient energy use for charges, and then increased damage after a perfect dodge. The Heavy's unique ability, the Iron Halo, is a directional force field that is able to absorb and negate any ranged attacks while it still has energy. The stronger the enemy attack, the more quickly the Iron Halo's energy will drain, and it will also passively drain over time. Not only does the Iron Halo's force field protect you, but it is large enough that your allies can take shelter behind it while also being able to fire back through it. Enemy range units can be incredibly dangerous, especially in numbers, so this is best utilized to gain the edge over them, either by letting you and your team advance to melee range, or by providing cover to let you pick them off at range. It can block ranged attacks from terminus enemies as well, such as blasts from Neurothropes, or the Thorn Volleys from a Carnifex. Just remember that the Iron Halo does nothing against melee attacks, and only covers a 180-degree field in front of you. If you turn around, or your enemies encircle you, it will provide no protection. There are a couple of standout class perks that I'd consider mandatory for any heavy build, but depending on your playstyle, there are some that you could switch around. For this build, I wanted to emphasize the unyielding tenacity of the Salamanders, really playing on the tanky aspect, and so focused on perks which will help keep the Iron Halo active, as well as providing additional health. Starting with the first core perk, I went with Multi-Kill, as it's a Multi Melta specific perk that will greatly help with ammo consumption. Blasting apart hordes of Minoris will easily trigger this, and should allow you to clear mobs without losing any primary ammo. Second core perk will be Fortitude for a significant boost in health. You're going to be fighting up close and personal, so any boost in survivability will be very helpful. The third core perk will be Versatility. This will provide a great damage increase for your plasma pistol, and since it doesn't need to reload, it will be always active when using it. Great for when you need to quickly switch to it to stun a Majoris calling for reinforcements, or trying to burst down a boss at range. For the team perk, I went with additional supplies for increased ammo capacity, but you may want to use a different perk depending on your situation. If you find that you're not having any ammo supply issues, or that your teammates get downed a lot, you could easily swap to Bonds of Brotherhood in order to grant them full health upon revival. The gear perks improve your Iron Halo, and for the first one I went with Consecutive Execution. This will recharge your special upon quickly eliminating 10 enemies, which is easy enough to do against hordes of Minors with a Multi Melta, though it does have a 3-minute cooldown. The second gear perk is Obdurate Bastion, which will increase the amount of damage your Iron Halo can take, allowing you to tank more hits. This is especially useful against Zoanthrope attacks as they deal significant amounts of damage. The third gear perk is Brute Force, which increases your damage when your Iron Halo is on cooldown. This will let you absorb enemy attacks, and then when your Iron Halo drops, you can counter with an even stronger Hammer Strike. Finally, for the signature perk, I went with Conversion Field in order to help your allies' special abilities recharge faster while your Iron Halo is active. More tactical scans and banner drops are always welcome, and this synergizes nicely with the Consecutive Execution perk, letting you activate your Iron Halo twice in quick succession. As an Eradicator, you will be getting into a lot of close-range firefights and drawing a lot of aggro, unlike other typical heavy-ranged builds. While advancing, make use of your Iron Halo to block enemy ranged attacks, and your Plasma Pistol to eliminate targets at range. Make sure to use the Plasma Pistol's charged shots to stagger any Majoris targets of opportunity, knocking them out of their attack animations or calls for reinforcement. If there is a lot of enemy range units, position yourself in front of your squad to protect them with your Iron Halo. This is also a very helpful tactic should they be under fire when trying to revive a downed ally. You can intercept the enemy's shots as your squad mate gets picked up. Once you are at close range, try to position yourself to get the most enemies with each Melta blast. Try not to waste shots on singular Minoris units, but don't hesitate to fire upon lone Majoris, as you can do enough damage to easily put them down with an additional parry and gunstrike. Speaking of parries and gunstrikes, the Heavy's lack of melee weapon is its most glaring weakness, and you effectively have a balanced melee attack that does minimal damage. Your melee strikes are, however, good at knocking over Minoris targets, letting you set up gun strikes on them to recharge your armor. Additionally, you can charge up your melee strikes to perform a series of ground stomps with a wide area of effect. This is perfect for knocking over groups of Minoris enemies, and can even stagger Majoris targets as well. Don't let your melee skills get rusty, as effective timing and dodging is incredibly important for survival, especially given the Eradicator's rather unique close-range combat style. You'll be blasting targets at close range with your high-powered Melta shots, but perfect parries are still essential for setting up execution combos, letting you dance through the melee with ease. Against bosses, you're generally going to want to get in close, using your Iron Halo for cover, and pumping as many plasma pistol shots in them before switching to your Multi Melta. I try to keep some crack grenades handy for these fights, as while your weapons do significant damage, you are more vulnerable at close range. However, if you can, for example, shield an allied sniper from a Neurothrope's beams, letting him chunk its health down quickly, then that's a job well done. Remember, your job is to protect your allies, whether that be by eliminating hordes so they can focus on the elites, or by physically blocking ranged attacks from hitting them at all. You are the anvil upon which the foes of the Emperor shall be broken. Thank you for watching, brothers. I hope you enjoyed the video, and that it was helpful. Be you a newly inducted Astartes initiate, or a veteran battle brother looking to sharpen your skills just that little bit more. If you have any combat tips of your own, or if you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know in the comments. Leaving a like is always extremely helpful to get the video out there, as is sharing and enabling notifications. The Salamanders are my own personal tabletop army, so it was a lot of fun emulating their style in game, and I'd love to cover more classes with other chapters as well. I hope you have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!